He once had the spotlight, though not for his own music, but for the woman beside him. Kevin Federline, the dancer who became the world's most talked about partner. The father of two boys born into the eye of pop culture's wildest storm. He lived where fame burns brightest and cuts deepest. And now, years later, he's ready to speak. Kevin Federline says he's writing a memoir, and the twist? His sons support it. That headline hit like a drumbeat across social media. My sons support my memoir. For a man who once existed on the margins of someone else's story, that single sentence pulled him back into the center. But this time, not as Britney Spears' ex, as Kevin Federline, the man, the father, the survivor. For decades, his name was a headline, not a voice. When he and Britney married in 2004, it wasn't just love, it was lightning. Two young parents, global attention, and a romance that burned through cameras, tabloids, and truth. Their union became obsession, their separation, spectacle. And through it all, Kevin was painted as the villain, the backup dancer who won the pop princess, then lost her to the chaos of fame. But now, 20 years later, the narrative is shifting. His sons, Sean Preston and Jaden James, are nearly grown. They've watched both parents live their truths under the heaviest scrutiny imaginable. And according to him, they understand why this story must finally be told. It's not just gossip. It's generational. It's about what fame does to families, about the cost of being public property before you even know who you are. Kevin says his book isn't revenge, it's reflection, a window into what life really looked like when the cameras were off, the sleepless nights, the custody battles, the fear of losing not just love, but legacy. For years he stayed quiet as the world debated Britney's freedom, her trauma, her voice. Now he's ready to explore what that same spotlight did to him and to the children they share. He claims access, not just to memories, but to the unseen heart of their story. The tours that felt like escape and exile, the tabloid wars that turned parenting into a public sport, the feeling of raising two sons who would one day Google everything the world ever said about their parents. And perhaps that's what makes this moment so fragile, because for all the curiosity this memoir invites, it's not just his story, it's theirs too. Every revelation, every truth will ripple through the same boys who have already lived in the shadow of two famous names. So why now? Maybe it's timing, 2 decades after the divorce, long after the custody drama, in a world newly obsessed with the other side of the story. Maybe it's catharsis, maybe it's money, or maybe it's legacy, the chance to be remembered as more than a headline, more than a nickname from 2005. Kevin has hinted that his book will explore fatherhood, not fame, that behind the chaos there was love, for his sons, for the family that once was. He says the memoir will show that fatherhood is not a performance, and survival is not a scandal. Still, one question lingers in every fan's mind. Will he talk about her? About Britney, not the legend, but the woman he once loved? Will his words heal or reopen wounds? In an era where every celebrity's past becomes content, his timing feels both strategic and deeply human. Because when he says, "My sons support it," it's not just a headline, it's a promise. That this story, this reckoning, has their blessing. That he won't weaponize their past, but reclaim it. The world now waits, not for the music, but for the manuscript. The cover hasn't dropped, the release date is still unknown, yet curiosity swells. Because this isn't a tabloid comeback, it's a human confession, 2 decades overdue. We've heard her story, her truth, her pain, documented, dissected, and debated. But we've never heard his. The quiet voice in the background, now stepping into the mic for the first time. So when Kevin Federline says this story is his to tell, he's not just rewriting his legacy, he's reminding the world that every fairy tale has 2 narrators. And sometimes, when the music stops and the lights fade, what remains isn't fame or fortune, it's the courage to finally speak. And this time, Kevin Federline says he intends to own every word.